What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Tech News While Driving on March 19th, 2016. I'm your host, Tony Hannity, and today we have a couple of pieces of news that I just want to catch up on, one of which is related to Android Wear. Now, we've had a couple of new Android Wear watches announced over the past week, and it kind of seemed to me like, wow, that's odd. The main reason is there's a big watch convention going on in Geneva or somewhere in Europe. So they're doing a lot of announcements there. I believe that's where the Tag Heuer watch was announced last year. But in any event, there's a new one coming out from Michael Kors. Now, I'm not a big Michael Kors fan. I'm not even a big fashion fan, but Michael Kors, if you know anything about fashion, very, very well placed and renounced, and people like that sort of fashion, and so this is kind of a gold looking watch. So go look it up, check it out yourself. If you're into that sort of thing. Also, Uber has announced that they are doing one-way trips from San Diego to south of the border in Mexico. Now, you have to do the Uber X car, which is, or rather, you have to do the Uber Black cars, which are relatively more expensive than the Uber X cars, and you can get up to 4 people in the vehicle to take you down to the Baja, Mexico area, and can cost you anywhere between $100 to $150 or maybe even a little bit more, because they're going to charge you an additional $20 per mile and for the time that you're going to be in there. But if you need a means to get down to Mexico for any reason and you don't want to drive, this is one way to do it. And Uber does operate in Mexico. What they don't do, however, is take you from Mexico back to the United States. So if you find yourself on a Sunday morning and not sure how you got there, you can, I guess, walk across the border. You make sure your passport and your license is in your pocket. But I haven't been to Mexico, so I don't know exactly how it works. But I'm sure you could just take some means to get back from Mexico to the United States with little to no effort, should you be legal. And I'm sure you are. And if you're not, good luck to you. So I understand your plight. So, but those are just some things I want to get out of the way before I get into, I guess, the editorial portion of this, which I don't usually do. But over the past week and a half, we've been talking, or at least hearing very heavily about Android N, which is the next iterative update to Android. Now, we still don't know officially what N stands for. I believe that we were trolled on the Android developer blog, where they said we're not telling you what it stands for, implying that maybe it's Nutella. I don't think they'll do another branded version of Android, but what do I know? Some people have said nougat. A lot of people like nougat. I am not a fan of nougat as a whole, but it's an okay treat. According to some insiders, the N actually does stand for New York Cheesecake, or NYC, which has a kind of a play on word there, so that's kind of cool as well too. It would make sense, and I would totally be perfectly okay with it as well. But the main thing is this: if you're an Android enthusiast and you know what you're doing, and you have a secondary device to put Android N on, go right ahead. Do it. Go have fun with it. To download Android N, it is super, super simple now. All you have to do is sign up through the Android developer blog, say that you want to test out Android N on one of these devices, the Nexus 5X, the Nexus 6 and the 6P, the Player, also the Nexus 9. I mean, there's a good amount of Nexus devices where you can test out Android N right now. And that's great. And so, yes, if you're an enthusiast and you want to be on the cutting edge of the new TrueBlue stuff that's come out of Google and their engineers' brains, this is really awesome, especially for the fact that this is even before Google I/O. I mean, arguably, if they are able to launch Android N around the time of Google I/O, that'll be the fastest launch of any Android major update, ever. And that would be very, very impressive. And we're also unsure if this is going to be 6.5 or if they're going to call it Android 7. It doesn't really matter what it's called. We're seeing a lot of pretty cool initial feature-rich improvements. The doubling of windows. There's a new notification shade that kind of has a lot more content in there, so you're not necessarily having to swipe in and out of the notification shade to the application. It allows you to do most of it within the notification, or not most of it, but a good amount within the notification shade. Some new functionality in your settings. You have data saving mode and things like that. Supposedly there's also going to be a night mode setting, which a lot of OEMs have integrated into their own operating system, like Samsung has, but now it's going to come directly from Google, which arguably doesn't make it any better, but it makes it a lighter experience, so it's not something that Samsung themselves have to factor into their TouchWiz or whatever they're calling it these days. So a lot of great things, and more and more and more to come, because before Google I/O, Hiroshi said that there's going to be at least five more updates, and we already just had an update come out just in the past few days, which itself didn't have a lot of like feature updates, but it was more like bug fixing, because there's a lot of bugs. This is not even showing the full breadth of what Android N has to offer. This is just giving a little bit of tidbits as to what Android N can do, so developers can say, okay, this is the direction that Google is going. It looks like they're starting to partition the things that Google can control will be controlled by Google, and the things that other OEMs might want to fiddle with, they're not going to be in the same sandbox, so to speak. So that's a good thing. But the problem is, I'm seeing a lot of reviews and a lot of impressions about Android N saying that it sucks. Here's the thing. This is not only the first developer preview of Android N, this is the first developer preview before even Google I/O kicks off. This is super early. It's almost that this is even beta. This is like in its alpha stages. This is like how when Windows 10 went into preview mode, the first few months was super preview, that even I, as a Microsoft representative, didn't put it on any of my main devices because there was so many issues with it, and not to the fault of the operating system necessarily. It just wasn't a full-on operating system. There wasn't a necessity, truth be told, to have it fully working, because they were just trying to demonstrate the initial characteristics and capabilities of the operating system, and that's what we're seeing with Android N. So it's not necessarily that it's for the faint of heart. Android N is really just for some developers to see what the direction that Google wants to go, where possibly people that are really dedicated to Android, what they expect of Google and what Google can do to make the operating system better. And in all real, if we're being truly honest here, a lot of the functions and capabilities of Android N might already be duplicated by OEMs right now. I mean, you look at Samsung and you look at LG. LG has double window right now on the G4, and very few people use it. I think it's cool, and I think it's a necessity that Android has this capability, especially things like with the Pixel C. That needed that capability to make the Pixel C that much more worth it to have that kind of tablet. But because before that, it was kind of useless. Now it has a reason to be different than some of the other tablets that are out there. But even Samsung themselves has had double window on their tablets in the past too. So again, these are features that some of the OEMs have already done. Now it's going to be in the hands of Google, so the OEMs don't necessarily have to worry about it. And app developers can write their applications directly for the Android improvements instead of trying to write it for the TouchWiz or trying to write it for LG's UI. So in that regard, it makes it a little bit easier for developers. But if you're not a developer, and if you don't have a secondary device to put this on, don't put it on. Don't. Just don't. Just wait. There is a reason why sometimes it takes companies a long time to get the update out. If you're looking at Samsung, it just now that their flagship devices are getting Marshmallow. Now, there are logistical reasons. There's political reasons within the company and with carriers and things like that to why it takes them so long to push it out or not push it out. But the fact is, you don't want to have a broken operating system on your phone just because you want to be on the bleeding edge. You want to have a working operating system, and if that means you have to wait for the operating system to be finished in July or August, I would just wait. You don't want a broken phone. There are some instances where you can buy used phones. Like you could buy a used Nexus 6. By now, they're probably half the price, maybe $300 on Craigslist or eBay. Hell, you could buy mine if you want. If you give me a good price, I'll give you a good price for it. It's still a working order. But don't put it on your own Nexus 6P, because that is the worst idea that you can do. But what this means, in all honesty, in the near future, we should see the final version of N. Whatever they call it, whatever number it is, the final version of N, hopefully we'll see it come to more devices other than Nexus devices a lot quicker than we've had in the past. So stay tuned. Check on all your sites. If you're an Android user, check on all your sites. But don't think that this is anywhere close to being a finished operating system. There are things in there that they've taken away from Marshmallow just to kind of demonstrate this. And the problem is they made the upgrade super easy. There's a benefit to the upgrade. Chris Chavez from Fandroid says that over the years of him testing out developer previews, he's always wished that they could just do an OTA upgrade to the developer preview. Ooh, now it's here. Problem is, everybody and their mother, maybe not mother, but everybody who has a slight tendency or curiosity to this, if they don't understand that it's not a full operating system, it's going to ruin their experience and it's going to ruin their overall impression of Android if they don't know what they're doing. So I hope you watch this and you learned something from this. If you have anything that you want to add, let me know. That's going to be it for today. It's a short day, and I'm not even really driving. I'm just sitting in my car in a parking lot. But thanks a lot for watching. We'll be back probably on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how things work out. And if there's anything that you have to comment, leave it in the comment section below. Hopefully this time I remember to put the little watermark over here. And like us on Facebook, Twitter, and of course Instagram. And we will talk to you guys in the next one. Later.